morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my new friend, Xavier Roman. Hi, Xavier.
Hey, how you doing, Kathy?
I'm so excited to get to know you. I love what you're doing. And I am very enthusiastic about people that get their superpowers after they've had near-death experiences. I am a volunteer for IONS and have been for 7 years, where I help do the publicity and marketing for them. And so when your information came across my desk, it was like, cool. I want to hear more about you and how you're integrating these upgrades. It's unusual for people to integrate clearly and cleanly after their worldview changes so drastically. So Xavier, okay, so I kind of spilled the beans a little bit there, but do you want to share with everybody about your journey and how you got to be this amazing healer that you are?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely would. Again, thank you for having me.
Sure.
And I'll start off where it began, as I always do. Started off when I was 5, and I was 5 because I was in kindergarten. Um, so when I was little, I had seen a mom and a child, mom and son, across the street from me. They had both been crying. Um, I didn't know why they were crying, and if you look at it from a 5-year-old's angle, you'll see them both crying. You're like, you want to help, because, you're kind of scared in a sense, like, oh my God, what are they crying for, as a 5-year-old. And I wanted to go ahead and for some reason, I wanted to help them. So what I quickly did was I closed my eyes because I said, maybe I can help them. And I don't know what made me do this, but I just closed my eyes and I put my head down. And this white light just came right around them that I had sent to them, that I put them in. And I opened my eyes and quickly, probably within about 2 seconds, maybe 3, but like around 2 seconds, they just stopped crying abruptly and they looked around and like as if they were trying to say, like, what was that? What was that? I remember the kid, because he's at the mom's waist. He was little like me, and he was holding on to her hip, and they were both looking in different directions, like what was that? So that was that, and right after that happened, I thought, like, hey, was that me? Like, did I do that? I'm like, nah, that could have been me, but like, why did they stop? As soon as as soon as I opened my eyes, and then as a 5-year-old, you're gonna say ridiculous stuff to yourself. But I did think to myself, I said, wow, am I a superhero or something? Do I get superpowers? Was that me? The questions went on and on, but I thought it was cool. As a kid, and I got them to stop crying. I don't know what it was, the reason for their crying, but I got them to stop crying. So what I did was, I didn't tell nobody, of course, but what I did was, every time I would go to a doctor's visit with my mom, for myself or for her, because I was always around my mom for some reason, I would go ahead and practice the same thing on someone who looked sick. So I would scan out the room and I would say, oh, who looks sick? Who looks sick? And, looking sick was like, I wanted them to have their head down, like, having one of those faces and so forth that gave an indication that they weren't feeling good and so forth. So I would pick that person out and I said, okay, let me try this, and I would go ahead and do it and then pick my head up. And it would be the same thing as it did the first time I did it. And they would look around and they would stop hurling and they would stop, having a face of like there's some kind of pain. And then I would think, like, wow, what if I did that? Like, I think I did that. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it did the same thing as it did the last time. So Yeah, yeah, I just got to do it some more. I just got to pick out more people who looked like they were hurt, who looked like they weren't feeling good. And so I would continuously do that at every appointment. Or if I seen someone, in the public feeling or looking bad and so forth, I would go ahead and do that for them. But the doctor's visits, I would continue to do that, and I would continue to look for the person. And at times, I would see a person do the same thing, pick their heads up, and stop with their reactions, look around. And once in a while, I would catch them going straight to the desk. Hey, I'm gonna leave, and like I'm okay, I got an appointment or whatever they said. But I would just watch them when they're at the desk to see what they were gonna do, what they were gonna say, and so forth. And then I would think like, ugh, maybe that's me. Oh, I'm gonna continue to use my superpowers and so forth, as I would call them, as a child. So that went on. That went on. I still would never tell anybody. And then as I got older and so forth, I could recall doing that to someone at a bus stop in my high school years, but I wouldn't do it too much. But this in particular time, I remember I'd be at a bus stop and there's a gentleman. He had had a cane, he had had a limp, and he sat down under the shield, the little canopy, glass canopy, like it protects you from the rain. And I remember asking that guy, "Hey, I noticed that you got a limp and so forth, and something wrong with your leg and so forth. Hey, look at give me an opportunity, give me the chance. Like I think I could help you out. I think I could fix your leg." And the guys, is much older, looked at me like I was crazy, smiled, laughed a little bit. I said, "No, no, really, really, just go ahead and sit still. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and try to fix your leg. I got this little superpower and so forth that I want to go ahead and try to help you with." And so I would do that, and I did that to him, and I would close my eyes and then open them back up, and I would say, "Hey, how do you feel?" He's like, "I don't know." And he got up. I said, "Can you walk around a little bit? You don't have to, but like, I mean, that would like be a good test and so forth." And the guy looked in amazement as to like, "Hey, what, like, you? What is this? Um, how did you do this?" Um, Then he started asking me questions. Who's your mom? Who's your dad? I need your phone number. Where do you live? What's your address? This, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, listen. It was almost like me saying, like, hey, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to help you out. Like, nah, I don't want to give any personal information out. And so I didn't want to give any personal information out. And I walked away and I left and I went to the other bus stop at the time because he wasn't gonna stop, and he started getting a little serious. They're like, "No, listen, I really need this. I really need to know where you live. I really need your phone number or something. I want to talk to your parents or something like that." Like, no, it's not gonna happen. And I just walked away just because I didn't want anybody that knew me to know and so forth. So as I continued on, um, I really wouldn't do it a lot, as I went through college and so forth. I wouldn't really do it a lot, only like on my own time, like if I seen somebody, again, at a doctor's or hospital and so forth, I would go ahead and do that to people like that. Um, and then um, as my mom, she had gotten into an automobile accident 2005. So 2005, I was like in my 30s, and that's when I like felt like, okay, this is going to be a real, 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 real test, because she had gotten into a very bad accident, got a brain injury,
Wow.
was bleeding from her head and so forth. And then I could recall at the time when we were at the hospital when everything first happened, like, hey, listen, this is going to be a moment to moment thing, every hour, every half hour, something like that. Uh, we don't know what's going to happen. Something bad could happen. We'll just tell you that, meaning that, she could pass away. But I had my feeling, and I thought to myself, like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not what's going to happen. Matter of fact, I was so sure, even though the state was so bad, her state was so bad. I had this inner knowing, and I was so 100% positive. Whereas we're getting the news from the doctor, surgeon, and so forth, how bad it is. I didn't participate. They did the priests where it comes do the prayer. I guess they call it what they call it, the final
Hmm.
words or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we're all standing around the bed and so forth before they go ahead and take her in, and the coma and everything starts. They wanted to go ahead and try, and I didn't really participate in it because I was like, no, that's this isn't necessary. I'm not going to participate. I mean, I stood there, but like I didn't participate because I just knew like it's going to be okay. I could do something about it. That was just my feeling.
Mhm.
Uh, Others may call it, if they look at it, egotistical and this and that, but it's just how I felt at the time. Like, man, everything will be all right. This is just going to be a long road. I could see this. This is going to be a long road to recovery and so forth. And so as I would be there at nights, I would go ahead and um, take part in the healing. I would take part in healing and heal her. And she got out months later down the road, and she's still good down to this day. She doesn't
Isn't
take,
it
yeah, she doesn't take any meds. As of right now, she's healthy, and she'll be 75 in a couple of days.
cool? Wow,
Um,
that's so cool.
yeah, she'll be 75 in a couple of days, and yeah, I mean, she doesn't need, I do help her, but she's self-sufficient. She's self-sufficient, but she does need help in some things, but like she's not reliant on medication and, this and that. The only thing she is reliant on is her cane. That's about it.
Okay,
Yep.
so I got a bunch of questions. Okay, so you came in with superpowers and you tested them when it was safe and no one was looking. But then your mother got sick, and so it became more. You probably still were hiding, right? You
Yep.
still. And so
Definitely.
2005, you tested to the max, and then you go, I'm not crazy. I'm not making this up. This is real. And then did you let her know? I mean, because a lot of times these superpowers are in family lines. Like were you encouraged once she found out, or how
Um,
did you deal with your mom with and your dad with that? I mean,
I didn't actually tell him. My father wasn't involved in my life at that time.
oh, okay,
But I didn't actually tell her, um, that, hey, I've done this, I've done this. I didn't tell her till like way after, way after. Um, I just didn't feel like, because I
I
thought
understand.
I thought she may tell like my other family members. I was like, well, that's kind of natural for her to do that if she does do that. Like, I mean,
And
yeah,
then the
she's got to
cat's
say
out of
something.
the bag.
Yeah, exactly,
Well,
exactly. I mean, but a lot of things happen in the hospital. I mean, like where I felt like I felt like the knowing was at 100%. Like I could do this with anybody. I mean, I was so far out there to the point where like I had this extreme knowing that I was going to, because this was the ICU, that I was going to rooms to check on other patients because everything was a glass door, and with the
yeah.
what was that, curtain and so forth. That I went to a couple doors down, and I seen a guy. He had a tube out his head. You can see the blood coming out of the tube from his brain and so forth. And he was standing there. I mean, his wife was standing with him while he was in the bed, but he looked out of it and so forth. And then, I just told the lady, I says, hey, listen, you know what? I says, I think I could help your husband. And she's like, you don't even know what it is. I says, I don't need to know what it is. That's how I felt. I said, I don't really need to know what it is. I says, I got this thing where I could, help people out and so forth. So I think I could help him. It would only take like a couple minutes. I don't even have to touch him. I says, but if I could touch him, I think it'd help even more. But like, I don't even have to touch him. And she's like, oh, I remember his name is Johnny. So, oh, my Johnny, he's been here. I think she might have said a year and a half or
Oh
something
my
like that.
God.
But I don't know if she said he was going back and forth, but she did mention a year and a half. And she's like, hey Johnny, look, this guy wants to help you, this and that. And like you could tell his eyes, he was like in and out, like he really couldn't talk, so forth. And she's like, I'm gonna let him help you. She said, Johnny, I'm gonna let him help you. We don't have nothing to lose. I said, no, you don't. Like, all I want to do is sit right there, give me a few minutes. I said, you could even watch me if you want, from the door, and that'll be that. And so I went ahead and said, give me a little bit of time. I got to go back to my mom. I got to do this and that, just to check on some things, and then I'll come back. So she let me in. I went ahead and I did it. She asked me what do I think. I said, I think he's gonna get better. She's like, that sounds nice, but my Johnny, he's been real bad. Like we've been here for a while. I hope so. I said, I know the hope phase. I says, but I really think he's gonna get better. I says, but I'll be right here. I'm 2 doors down, so forth, and you're welcome to talk to me or ask me anything and so forth if you want, and we'll go from there. My name's Xavier. And she said, oh, thank you for your time. Hopefully this helps and so forth. And boom, I had never seen them again because I didn't make any more rounds to go by there. I didn't want to be intrusive or anything like that. And so months down the road, after my mom was done with the hospital part, then she went to the rehab part, which was a couple of buildings down. So they roll you over there, and she was in the rehab part. I remember going to that building while she was in rehab, and I'm getting ready to get on the elevator. And who comes on the other side of the elevator? The lady, the wife, and Johnny. And she's like, she looked at me, and I was the only one in the elevator, and she started yelling. She says, that's the one. That's the one. She's like, that's him. Oh my God, Johnny, this is the one that helped you in the hospital. He was next door. And remember, I've been trying to explain to you and this, that. He's the one. That crying came to me,
Oh,
hugs and this and that. And, I'm like, ugh, like, I hope she doesn't say something too loud because now these people are looking. I come out the elevator and she's saying this and that. Some people are looking like, what?
yeah. And then you have a line of people going, me next, me next. Me next.
Yeah, I didn't want those certain words to be brought up. He's the one, blah blah blah. Like, please don't let these people, like hear
Oh,
too much.
wow. That's so
And
cool. And guy had a full recovery?
from then, yeah, she's like, yeah, we're leaving. We checked out. We're leaving. Johnny's good. Look at he's walking. I'm holding his arm, but he hasn't been able to do this in so long.
Wow,
Blah blah.
how cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Xavier, do you see okay, so I saw and knew things when I was a little girl, and I did not let anyone know because I was afraid of the consequences, just like you. But what I would see is like if somebody wasn't going to make it, I could see this gray energy in their field. Did you see certain things, or you just and do you feel like you have angels or helpers that are helping you, or
Yes,
could you
yes,
talk
I do.
a little bit about?
You're actually the first person to ever ask me that. This part. Do I feel like I have angels or
Yep,
persons
yep.
around me and
I
so forth?
know I do. That
Yeah.
it isn't me. I'm just the human
Yes.
doing it.
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool, cool.
And I do say that sometimes someone asks me like, it's not me, it's what comes through me. I said that's what it is. It's not me. Like I don't let this get to my head ever. Like I clearly understand it and I get it. This isn't me. I'm just this vessel that it's the conduit. If you want to call
But
it.
do you identify? See, because what I'm asking is like I see it in my third eye. I see the field, I guess, and can sense what to do in it if I'm supposed to. But
Sure.
sometimes it's like, oh, yeah. But you're saying that you kind of saw they were in pain, and could automatically, no matter what it was, you didn't have to know what it was, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You,
Yeah. No. Don't. No. Keep going.
oh,
I'm
I,
curious how
oh
you.
yeah, I don't know if you're finished. And I think your previous question was like, could I see that? There are like, just like you mentioned, there are times when I will go somewhere and like, hey, can you come, look at my aunt? She looks like they're saying she's not going to make it. Can you just go ahead and look at her and just, maybe you could help or something like that? And, it's kind of hard to turn down. And I say, sure, no problem. So there's been times when I go and then I will look at the person, even though they're not conscious. And, I'll say, hey, here's my feeling. My feeling is they may not want to come back, you know. That's just how I feel. And this might be a better thing. It's not good for us and our egos. I says, but this might be a good thing, I mean, something that you can't see. And then there are times where I'm like, we could do something. We could do something. Even there's been times when I've been to ERs and ICUs, and like, hey, listen, the doctor says they can leave any day. They only have this much time, this much, so forth. Do you think you could do something? And I'll go by the person, like, I think we could do something. I said,
Oh,
I think we could do something. Like, hey, whatever, and they're looking at me, and I could sense and feel the disbelief in them. And I'm like, I think we could do something. Like, hey, listen, you never know. Like, you probably will be experiencing, what they call a miracle or so forth. I says, but I think we could do something. Like, really? Like, yeah, I know. And I could see in their eyes, yeah, you're not totally in, but you're not meant to totally be in, and that's fine. That's fine. My your reaction doesn't change what I think and feel and what I know. And so, boom, we do that process, quickly, and then I say, hey, let me know what happens. Okay, just keep me up to date. Send me an email, send me a text, or whatever. And, things just change. They change,
it's so.
180, and it's like, uh, there are times when I still do get amazed. I definitely do get amazed. And there are times when I'm like, yeah, I know it, like I knew it. I would just say that openly to myself, but I wouldn't say that to other people and so forth.
Yeah.
But that's my feeling, like, oh yeah, I know it. It's not a big deal. But if you look at, if other people seen the same thing and they got, their desired outcome, then it's like, no, this is a big thing. And yeah, the other part of me does like know that, like, yeah, this is a big thing, but like, I don't know. It's just the process is different for me internally.
Okay. So I have a couple questions about that. So you can get the sense whether it's their time or it's not their time. And then you create a field that allows them to heal. And do you take on any of that, or is
Never.
it's all in their column of light or whatever that you.
Yeah, yeah. It's all towards them. I don't take nothing on, and I know I've been asked that, and I have heard other people who are psychics and so forth, who have other gifts, say, hey, you don't feel that, like when you do that, when you do your sessions with people. I said, no, I actually feel better when
Yeah.
I'm done. I actually feel like I could. I never tried it, but I actually feel like I could go by a car and lift the back of the car, and like, it just sounds odd, but like maybe even flip it, but I just feel that
Yeah.
powerful and strong,
Yeah. Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time. I never feel like low or bad or anything after I do a session.
So do you prepare yourself when you're
uh
doing a session? I mean, do you call in your angels and guides? Do you call in any beings of
Um,
light to help you?
I the only thing I do preparation wise is, just say a prayer, before I begin, and then I go ahead and I begin and so forth. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. Another question for you. Can you do a group of people? Like if you were in the ICU and you said, okay, I'm going to do everyone on this side of the building, could you do that? Or is it need to be one by one?
There's a very very odd situation. I mean, I could do a group. I mean, I've done groups before, and I've
Uh-huh.
been invited to go ahead and do groups at workplaces, do groups at
Cool.
just people they just want to feel it. But there's one in particular time. This sounds like unbelievable. There's a hospital. There's a certain hospital here on the other side. I'm in Chicago on the Indiana side, that where I had did a session, but I couldn't go into the actual hospital room. And at this time, the person who I was seeing at the time, I had did it for her her aunt. And but when she went for visiting time, I went, but I just stood out and let her go in. And I had did the session, but when I did it, everything felt so powerful, so strong, that while I was sitting back in the was this a wait? It's not a waiting area, but it was just like in the middle of the hallway. But they had a bench for you to sit down in, and I knew I would kind of look a little bit ridiculous, like doing that if anybody caught me. But it didn't seem like there's any traffic, and it was nighttime. But I just seen the whole roof of this place coming off, and this big like white light. It looked like almost like a tornado, but in very slow motion, just come over the hospital. And when she had come out of the room, um, I was almost like knocked out, like I was sideways and so forth. I do remember that because when I opened my eyes when she came, she looked at me like, "Hey, you okay?" I was like, "Man, like I almost like fell out. This is just like I don't know if I triggered too much or what it was, but this was so strong. This is so strong." I says, "How was your aunt?" She's like, "She was good, like." And there was a period of time when she just like she got better. Like we were talking to her, like her whole demeanor just it shifted upwards, and she just looked and sounded better. But her mood changed. She got better, like with her speaking and so forth, something like that she had said at the time. And I was like, yeah, I said, this was pretty strong. I said, this is pretty strong. So as a matter of fact, I think this is so strong. A lot of people in this hospital, they've had a change and shift for the better. And a lot of these people are better. I says, I can't prove it. I can't say anything. I said, I'm telling you, this whole entire hospital, whoever's in here that there's something wrong with them, I said, I'm telling you that a lot to all these people are way better. And they probably got to leave. They probably got to leave. It sounds weird and out of the box and unordinary. But the bottom line of this story, I want to say after that happened, maybe a year later, the hospital closed down.
Oh my
The
God.
hospital closed. It's still closed to this day. Yeah, you could see construction around it. I don't know what they're building and so forth. I says, and when I passed through there and I seen it, I told the same person, I says, this is gonna sound strange. I says, remember that day when we went? And I said, this is just too strong. Just like I've never had that happen to me where I'm just like, just out of it, and like everything came out of me and so forth. I said, I think and I feel and I know, and it sounds wacky to the average person. I says, too many people left on that week, day, and so forth, and you can't run a hospital and lose that many big numbers at once.
Uh,
I says, and it says, what about if people came in there and that energy is so strong in there, and those people didn't really have to stay in that hospital? I said, that's going to drive them out. You're going to lose a lot of revenue and so forth, and you can't have that happen in a hospital. I said, I think that's what took it out. I
Wow.
said, it doesn't sound real. I said, I think that hospital's been there since I was a child. And I was like, I said, you could say whatever you want. I said, I think they did not have the revenue to go ahead and keep
Wow.
on going, and if people aren't saying, they make money off people being in those beds. And
Right,
if you
right.
don't have people in those beds and these surgeries are like, hey, maybe you don't need a surgery, or maybe you got better, or maybe this change and this and that, then it's gonna affect everything. That was my take and my feeling, and I'm always gonna stay to that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so have you felt that there's been concern? I mean, are you okay? First, I would say this first. Can you heal yourself?
You know what? I I don't think I could heal myself uh, as fast as I could a person who's on the opposite end of me. Yes,
Isn't that
I
interesting?
yeah,
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. I know I did heal myself. I had an accident at work some time ago. I had 3 herniated discs, 3 bulging discs.
Wow.
And they wanted to do surgery, and I was like, they're like, hey, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. It's been like it's almost been like about 10 years now. And I was like, no, I don't need it. I'm not being hard headed. I says, I know what to do. I said, I just know what to do. Like this and that, and I don't want to do that. I know that once you get those kind of surgeries, your life's never the same.
Right.
I says, so I'm gonna make my life better, and I'm gonna make myself better, and I just kept it to myself. And I'm still good now. I'm still good.
Oh, that's
Yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
So okay, because that's very rare that healers can heal themselves. In fact, it's sort of strange how you can help everyone else but yourself.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of strange how that project works. Anyway,
yeah, 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 yeah.
okay. So thank you for explaining that. So this is 2005. You help your mother, and then you had a near death experience in 2010, right?
Yes,
You
yes,
want to
correct.
tell us a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
definitely,
thank you
definitely.
so much. This is wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, no, no, no problem. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So I had so I can remember the day when everything started. So I'm hurling in the bed, and my stomach was hurting real bad, and I was like, man, I'm thinking that, like, yeah, maybe I gotta go to the washroom. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and this thing was just like not going anywhere. And so I was like, man, like, okay, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital. I said, this isn't going away. This has been here for so long and so forth. And so at the time, my wife at the time, I told her, like, hey, listen, I says, I got a bad feeling. I says, there's something going on. I says, we need to go to the hospital. Oh, okay, well then let's just go to this hospital. I said, no, let's go to a hospital downtown. I says, because I'm not gonna come back right away. She's like, what are you talking about? How do you know? Like, why don't we just go to the doctor? This and that. I said, no, this isn't going away. We have to go to the hospital, and we have to go to that one because I'm gonna need a little bit long-term care. And here I don't want to go to their long-term care. And she's looking at me like, okay, whatever, whatever you want to do, like, you're in pain, not me, and so forth. So then I go ahead and go to the hospital. But I can remember hearing this feeling, because I always said at the time, I don't do that no more, but at the time I says, you know what? Because someone had always asked me, hey, what would be your last meal when you die, and so forth. And I would say, oh, pizza. I says, yeah, yeah, I have pizza and maybe some vegan wings or something like that. That would be my favorite and last meal that I would like to have, before if I knew I was going to pass away. I says, man, because I love pizza, and the wings and so forth. And so I remember thinking, like, oh my God, I had pizza the last 2 to 3 days. Oh my God, like, is this it? So I was a little, little freaked out and so forth. And so we went to the hospital and said, hey, listen, you have your appendix, it's going to burst right now. This is why you're feeling like this. You're going to have to start drinking this right now. We're going to have to get you in for surgery and so forth. Like that, this is what you got going on. We've seen it on the scan. Okay, cool. No problem. So I went ahead and went through it and came out of it. And then I was okay. But then, I felt a little uncomfortable. I was like, okay, we'll keep you another day. Usually you could go home right away. Like, we'll keep you another day. And then I said another day. And then they were like, okay, you're going to take these when you go home, antibiotics and so forth. And you should be okay. And so I came home. It was the last day when I finished the antibiotics. So I want to say the day before that. But even as I was taking them the last couple of days, I started shaking like I was cold. And I can remember it being outside. It was probably like 101, 103, something like that. It was like scorching hot and so forth. So I was like, man, I'm under the covers and I'm freezing. Then I'm getting hot, and then I'm sweating and so forth. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And, so that we call the hospital, say, hey, this is going on. They're like, oh, you guys finished with that, with the meds? And I'm like, yeah, he's finished now. Like, okay, you're gonna have to bring him in. He's experiencing some kind of infection, like for sure. Like his body temperature up and down, like he's trying to fight something. And I was like, yeah, I don't feel good. Like I started like feeling like, oh man, something bad's gonna happen. Like, oh my God. Okay. So I went to the hospital and then they said, okay, you do have an infection. And the infection's going from your lower part of your body. And once it gets to your heart, there's nothing we can do. And I just like, what do you mean? And like, yeah, you won't make it and so forth. So we have a slot open. We're gonna have to do a surgery to remove that out. So we could do it at this time. You're gonna have to start taking some of this medication wise, and for your stomach and so forth. And like, are you okay with doing that? I was like, I don't have a choice. Like, yeah, we got to do it. And so I went ahead, went to the surgery. I mean, I could see it right now, literally, when they're telling me when they usually put the mask. I don't know if you had surgery, but they put the mask over your face and they tell you, okay, you will be asleep, count to 3 or 10, something like that, backwards, and you'll be out. And I remember doing that. And then while they were going through the surgery and so forth, I came out of my body. And I watched them. And I remember I had my arms, sort of like this, and I'm watching them. And I remember when he cut my stomach, with the blade, scalpel, cut it open, and then my stomach busted. And luckily he was covered up, and he had one of those plastic shields, and it went on him. I remember him saying the swear word, and then boom, everything went haywire because you could hear the machine, flatline, duh, and then everybody started moving real fast. And I just observed. I didn't have any feeling, good or bad. It was just like an observation. And then boom, I was gone. I went to the other side. And for me, the other side was I was running. First, I was walking on gold bricks. It almost looked like the bricks almost looked like the Wizard of Oz. Have you ever seen it? So I'm walking on those bricks, and there's trees, like perfect green trees, like in like a tunnel, like they're set up like that. And so I started walking faster, and the next thing you know, I'm doing flips. I want to see how strong I was and so forth, and what I could do. I'm doing flips, and I'm trying to see like, hey, can I fly? And I couldn't. And then I come to the end, and then I come through this white light. And then at the time after I went through the white light, then I'm on the plane, which is just like like we could see here, but we're outside and everything was perfect though. The grass is like the size of golf grass. Like if you ever seen the putters when they putt and so forth. I seen that. Um, and I kept on going. After I seen that, then I kept on going. Then I sat down on the bench by myself in front of a pond, like, and then I got up and then I went to a cliff. I went to a cliff, and everything was just like the bottom of a cliff, like mountains and stuff like that. Then these clouds appeared before me, and then something just internally told me to go ahead and walk on the step on the clouds, like their steps. So I went and I jumped and I jumped. I went higher, and then I stopped, and then this force, this enormous force, that you can't put a name or a thing on it. It's almost like, I don't know if you've ever been. I've never been to the Grand Canyon or anything like that, but as if you're right there, and then everything's just like clouds for miles till you can't see no more. And then I felt the force, and then I felt almost like trying to communicate with me in every language, but I knew everything that it was, was speaking and so forth. And I felt this grand love, and it was overwhelming. It felt great. It felt perfect. It felt like home and so forth. But it was just so much that man, you probably like it may be equivalent to seeing a newborn baby of your own newborn baby, because I can remember when my child was born. He looked at me, after they, took him out, after he'd been born, and they put him on a table and so forth, and they were doing all that suction stuff like that. And I looked at him, and he had been like laying backwards, but like looking at me like this, and I'm looking at him. I was like, wow, he's looking at me, like, is he really looking at me? And it's like, he is looking at me, and our eyes locked in, and boom, everything just stopped. Couldn't hear nothing, couldn't hear all the people that were, working on him and working on his mom back there. It just stopped. It just stopped. And this love, like, that was the closest equivalent that I could think of. So after that, I came back down. I seen some people that passed away, talked with them. After that, I went ahead and sat down on a bench, and my grandmother was there. She had passed, and we talked for a little while, and the last thing she says is like, hey, do you want to stay? And I didn't know how to answer that. I didn't have an answer. And she looked at me just like as if I'm looking at you right now, but she's looking at me sideways on this side, my right side. And I couldn't answer that question. I was like, it took me a while to answer. And then finally I says, you know what? I'm going to go. I got some things to do, some real huge things to do. But I'll be back. And she smiled. She says, I know you will. I was like, yeah, that's right. We all come back. So we're all going to come here. So, and then that was it. And then I left, came back. And then I can remember waking up in the post-operating room, and the nurse was straight ahead to the right. She was sitting down, and then she see me, like, I guess she see me move my head, because I'm looking around like, is this still part of or was that a dream or something like that? Like, wow, that was a wild dream. But like, I don't know, it felt so real. Like, I don't know. And then she came to me, and she validated. She says, hey, are you okay, Miss Roman? Are you okay? Like, man, we almost lost you, but Doc and them, they went ahead and they brought you back. I was like, boom, my eyes, usually when you come first out of surgery, you're groggy from the meds and so forth. And then I was connected. I mean, I found out, after a couple of minutes, as she showed me, that there was a morphine machine connected to me, and so forth. And my eyes and my body just fought right through that. Then there's just too much adrenaline all at one time. And the thing was just beeping like beep beep, the monitor and stuff like that is like going faster. I'm like, she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I says, that was real. I says, that was real. I says, wow. I says, he said this, he said this, and I heard them scrambling, and I watched him, and I watched him do this, and I watched him do this, and she's like, "Oh my God!" Oh, she's like, "Just relax, just relax, just relax, just relax." And I was like, I was like breathing, and like everything faded away. Like any kind of drugs that were holding me down, it just felt like they faded away because I felt like normal, like I was okay, but I wasn't. And so she's like, hold on, hold on, hold on. She's like, let me show you some things first. She's like, whatever you do, don't touch your stomach right here. She says, because your stomach is still open. She says, when they cut it, they left it open. So you have a hole in your stomach,
Oh
like
God.
where you would be able to see down, but it's bandaged. But I don't want you to touch it. She says, don't ever touch it, And I'm like, and I'm thinking, like, I got a little water, like, why wouldn't you sew that up, and she's like, yeah, and then you have like these tubes coming out of the side of your stomach, it's just to keep on getting the infection out. So that's why your stomach is open, but it's going to close on its own. But that's how this is done. They're going to close. It's going to close on its own. And I was like, oh my God, like, wow, my stomach is open. Like, come on, like, what is this, and so forth. And she's like, okay, you're gonna push this thing. It's gonna go off every like 15 minutes, which is the morphine. She says, but I forgot how it went. You could push it after, or if you need it at this time, this is timed and so forth. But if you need it at this time, just push the thing, She said, it'll go right into you. She says, you need this, you don't want to feel nothing. And I never did feel anything. And so she talked to me. She's like, can you tell me what that was like? She said, I've heard this before in the hospital, like where I've never experienced it. I've been here like 20 something years or 30 something like that, 20 something years. And I've heard of this. She says, I heard of this a long time ago. She's like, yeah, but I want to know, she's like, I'm, I believe she said she was Christian. So I'm a real devout Christian and this and that. She says, and I want to know, what you seen, did you see God and this and that and so forth? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I says, not the way how you would think. I says, but I did. I said, I felt that. And I says, and there are some other things that I seen other people and so forth. Yeah. And then she's like, hey, can I come up to your room? You're gonna get a room, after you come out of this. And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. She's like, yeah, but like, I'm gonna need your like permission because we can't just go up to the patient's room. I said, yeah, no problem. I says, yeah, you could definitely come. She came up later on, later. I want to say the day after, and she just just started asking me questions and so forth. And that was it. Yeah, that was it for the NDE.
Wow. So a couple of questions. Was it a staph infection that you got?
No, it wasn't. What do you call it? Not a staph infection. Man, I just seen it this morning too. They'd used the word, that medical term of the infection.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Well, the reason I asked is I have a friend who was my coach who he had 3 NDEs, one right after the other, where he did have surgery and he had a staph infection and it was on his spinal column and on the back. And so it was, I don't know, it was really something, but he was coming in and out and he was told to write 2 books. And within 2 months after he healed, he wrote 2 books. So, I mean, there's so much of that that's like, okay, you're on assignment. You haven't finished your assignment. You have to come back. But it sounds like you got a choice whether or not you could come back. Is
yeah,
that right? Okay.
yeah, yeah. That's that was my take on it, and
Uh-huh.
that was how I decided on that one.
Okay. And did you get to see like a life review where you got to see things that were to come, the past things or the future things?
No, I didn't. No, I did not. No, everything was like present moment. But
Oh,
I did get these things, as far as with helping people and with love and um, and fear. I got this thing of fear, like as far as overcoming it and so forth, with love and other things is that sort. That's
okay.
what I got. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then did you so when I was calling superpowers, that's what I call what you can do altogether. Did your superpowers increase after your near death experience, or they were already so amazing?
Um, I think what increased uh, was this feeling of I could do more.
Wow.
That's yeah. That was this feeling. I still think that all the time. I mean, I have these things that I see, like of me doing stuff that are like, you see in a movie and so forth. That's what I felt after that part and so forth. But I still held back. I still held back even after that, and I didn't go ahead and practice. I didn't go ahead and do it with other people and help out other people, just because I still didn't want to feel. Especially after that happened, I was like, "Whoa, I am not telling nobody about this. Like, no way. Like,
Yeah.
to tell
Yeah.
people about what I could do, but then to tell them about this dying and come back, which I called it, death, you die and
Yeah.
come back. To
Yeah.
tell them about, no, it's not gonna ever happen. Even my wife at the time, I didn't share nothing.
Oh, wow. Well, that's very common, and it's very common that um, people, well, because the healthcare system automatically wants to save everyone's life, that there's probably a whole bunch of people that don't even know they've had the experience you've had because they wrote it off to it was drug induced, or it was a dream, or something. And that's part of this big awakening we're having right now, that a lot of those people may get to remember, because there's been a lot of people in the past 40 years that have been resuscitated that did touch the other side and maybe haven't really processed it yet, right? So
Yeah, but
so
I think the nurse, she's what set it off to give me, to validate it. I wasn't going to ask for validation. She just brought it up, and as soon as
well,
she did that, everything's just like, my body just like it woke up, like from everything. Any drugs that were there, it's like I overrid it. My body overrid it. Yeah.
okay. Well, okay. So one more question about that. So what made you now? We're going to show your website in a few minutes. What made you now decide to be public? Because you've had these superpowers since you were little. Then you got to see the reality of life and death, that it's another phase. It's not that you die, you just go to a different reality. So what made you come out now to help people?
Yeah, so it was November 22, November 2022. It was my birthday, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm gonna go ahead and help people out publicly. I said I'm gonna help people out publicly. I had been meaning to do it probably like 5, 6 years before then, and I just couldn't. Almost like saying you couldn't pull the trigger, and I just couldn't do it. And I I I finally got the nerve to go ahead. I will hear things, the negativity and the craziness and this and that. I says, but you know what? Those people that I'm able to help, I says, that's going to override everything. That's going to override everything. And yeah, I think that's the upside. The upside is way better than the downside and so forth.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, on your website, which we're going to show in a minute, you have all these examples of you helping people where, I mean, oh, it's a testament to what you've done, because they'll say, I'm not sure, and you'll say, stand up and walk around, or
Yeah.
try it. And I have to say, I've witnessed that before. I've witnessed lots of spontaneous healings, not that I caused. One of them came through me, from another divine creature, but most of them have been other people that I've watched. And I mean, I've watched somebody's hips change, their legs change, just as they're walking in front of me. The healer said, yeah, we're redoing this. And so I know it's true. I know, and I know that you have what I saw on your website, and I look forward to having a session. I really look forward to seeing what you do. But is it okay if I show your website
No,
now?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, people
Okay,
can see it
okay,
anyway. Yeah.
because that way people can really get a feel that you aren't bashful about sharing. Okay, so here, this is a YouTube
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. That's a seminar that I had, that I had
Uh-huh.
was part of. I was invited to go ahead and be at that seminar. The
Okay.
video.
And this is a place where you can book your session.
Yes.
So that's the button. And that's a little bit about your healing. And then this is these are examples, and there's lots of them. Look at all the examples that you have. And on your YouTube channel and Vimeo, look at all these examples where people have really shifted. I mean, even I watched this one. I mean, these people don't even realize what you're doing, and they
Yes.
feel it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
So did you just start out like through a church or somewhere in Chicago? Is
No,
that
no, no. I started out. I just looked around for somebody to help me out with the social media stuff. Matter of
uh-huh,
fact, when I when the person who did the social media, he's from a different country,
uh-huh,
because we could do that now to reach out to people from
uh-huh.
different countries to go ahead and set up social media. So
Yeah.
he couldn't understand, like, wait, what do you want to do? Wait, how do you? She's like, but like, he's like, listen, man, I don't understand, like, what do you want to do? This, that. And I explained to him. I said, listen, we're gonna get people on video. I says, I'm gonna go ahead and help them live. I says, and then we're gonna put that on video and so forth, and just to show people, to invite them in, so then I could help them out. And he couldn't process it. He's like, listen, how are you going to do that? Are you selling them like a drug? Are you selling them? Are you telling them what to do, or this and that? Is there exercise? I says, no, I'm going to do it. Me. I says, I'm just going to look at them. I need to see a person's eyes. I just got to see their eyes, and then I could go from there. And he still couldn't process it. He still couldn't process, until one time he was like, oh man, like, sorry for our meeting, we couldn't do the meeting, but I'm not feeling good and this and that. And I said, hey, Cam, you're not feeling good? What are you feeling like? I want to say. He says, yeah, my stomach hurts. He says, I feel weak. He said, I feel like this. He says, I've been throwing up. I've been this and this. I says, Cam, get online. I says, he's like, for what? I says, I'm gonna do it to you. He's like, no. He says, yeah, but I'm here in India, in Bangladesh. I was like, it doesn't matter. I just need to see your eyes. That's all. He's like, he says, oh, that's how you do it. I says, well, yeah, I explained it like a bunch of times. I've written it. I put it in emails to you. I explained it to you verbally. I explained it to you on video. I says, so you get on. And so we did it. And he's like, he couldn't help himself on the video. He says, how's this possible? How's this possible? And I was like, I don't know. I says, I can't tell you how it's possible, but it's something that comes through me. I says, if you let me describe it, I say it is a piece of God coming through me for a quick moment in time and then going to you. So that's why these things are able to happen, because what else could make something so good happen and so forth. That's the best way.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and so
That's
we did it, and he got better, and he got better instantly, like as usual, as everybody else does. And he's like, I got it now. He says, I know what you want to do. And he's like, I can't believe this, and blah, blah, blah. He brought his little brother on later on. He's like, here, do him. So forth, so forth, so forth.
It's like, well, just so everyone knows, I was trying to show the page to book a session, but it doesn't want to render. But please go to Xavier's website, which is xavierroman.com. And I've got it in the comments and I've got it in the description. But Xavier, is there other ways for people to get a hold of you or to experience you?
Yeah, actually, if they just book right through there, they could do that. Book. You could go to the social media links. You could connect with me through there. I answer all the messages and everything. I do have an assistant sometimes too, but I usually answer the replies and so forth. Or if you had any questions, you could put it inside the box inside the website, or you could email me at x@xavierroman.com.
Yeah.
But the website, everything you could do right.
Yeah. You guys, this is really an opportunity to especially go to the website, go to his YouTube channel, go to his Instagram and see these. There's just too many people for you to doubt this at all. That people are even people that hardly can feel and are really depressed. They change right away. So definitely Xavier's got it. And I'm really excited to know you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sticking around to help us humans.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. You know what? I had one more story that I wanted to share.
Okay.
Just to sum up how I think how powerful this is. I want to say it's probably about a year ago. There's a store across the street from my house, and me, my son, and my mom, we were getting ready to leave and go somewhere, and so we're looking across the street at the store right in the corner, and there had been like a small, not a big, but a small crowd of people, like maybe like 7, 8 people. They were around a guy. He was in a wheelchair and he was slumped over, and you could hear a little bit of commotion, and you could see people like trying to, hey, sir, they're trying to push him and so forth. And then you hear people, I lowered down the window just to get a better, I could hear better. And so did my mom and so forth. And you could hear people, yeah, we called 911, we called 911. They're still trying to wake him up, and he just like, he looked out of it and so forth. And then you could see there's like a woman, I remember she was crying there. They didn't look like any relation to each other, but she just like, I guess she's seeing, because one of the guys was like, who's shaking, so he's got no pulse, he's not breathing, and his heart's not beating. And so we heard that, and so my mom, she's getting teary-eyed. She's like, hey, she's like, you think you can help him? And I was like, oh man, like, the attention. I was like, ah, man, I really don't want this attention, and so forth. And then my son's like, he stands up in the back seat of the car. He's like, Dada, use your superpowers. And I'm like, oh man, like they're really gonna put it on me. And so my mom was like, yeah, please, just go try. And I was like, ah man, all right, okay, cool. For some reason, I didn't record because I was so focused, and I should have. So I went across the street, and they're like, hey man, he's not doing nothing. He's not doing nothing. Like I think he's gone, and so forth. And then they're like, we called the ambulance, we called 911. You could hear all these people saying this and that. And so then they moved back away a little bit, and then I went by the guy, and I'm trying to push him, hey sir, 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 and then I'm feeling on his neck, to feel a heartbeat, and then I'm touching his chest, and I put the back of my hand like towards his mouth, to see if there was like any air coming out. I was like, wow, he's gone. I said that internally to myself, wow, he's gone. And yeah, everybody's just looking and so forth. And I was like, oh my God, here goes. So like I was like, me at the time, I was like, okay, let me be the fool and idiot, to go ahead and stand up and close my eyes and put my head down. So I went ahead and I did it. I said, okay, I think I can help this guy. And so I put my head down. Well, then this time my head went up, and it always goes down once I close my eyes or stay straight. But I went up, and then I felt like this big light go right through me, and then boom, right to him. And I just said, okay, let me go check. Let me just check. And then I'm like, hey sir, And probably like about 3 seconds later, maybe 5, he starts but he's still slouched over. And every time you try to pick him back up, then he kept falling back down. So his head is in the middle of his legs, and mind you, he did have one leg. It's the other one was amputated and so forth, and his body was just like totally gone. But his body started gasp for these like hard breaths and so forth. And then I was like, I just turned around, looked at him. It's okay. And then a couple, 30 seconds later, then the fire truck came right here, and then I was like, he's right here, and then I walked away, and I went back to the car. Like, is he all right? Did you help him? Did you help him? And I was like, he's okay, guys. He's okay. My son's like, Dada. That's what he calls me. What did you do? I says, we helped him. My mom's like, she's still like teary-eyed, and she's like, are you sure? I says, watch. I said, watch. I said, so they jump off the fire truck. I mean, they already jumped off the fire truck, but they're scrambling and so forth, and they put him on the cot. I says, watch, just watch. And then he moved his arm like that. I said, told you. They're like, he's moving now. Like, oh my God. And they just took him off real quick. I said,
oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Oh.
I said, I told you guys. And then my son says in the back, he's like, Grandpa B, but my powers are stronger than his. I was like,
that's what I'm hoping that he's watching and learning. That's so cool. Well, we'll have to do this again. This was fabulous. Thank you so much. But we are out of time.
No, definitely.
So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I can't wait to have my session. I'm excited about that too. Thank you all. Please share this if you think that Xavier's work can help you or help the other people in your family. This is really an amazing gift that he has and that he humbly shares. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate. Thank you for having me and allow me to share my message with other people too as well.
Oh, bless you.